All right, let me find a place where I want to start. Well, we could start here on page Reshut Gimel. To give us a little background, let me see. Parshat V'yomer Merkava the 9. So we could do that part, that one. He says, let's see, where would I be? This one, number Tes Zion down below. So he says, Parshat V'yomer. So we were going through what happens. Different ideas. I'm a little stuck on some of the words that he uses in terms of Kavanah. But Parshat V'yomer Yakavan sheyesh bo of Tevim. So in there's 72 words over there. V'yakavan the halvish trin yarchin v'yisod. In other words, his nai. The idea are your nai. You have to clothe your. I think that's the halvish trin yarchin your nai. Delay. B'shem ben Avda v'Yosef the v'Yisel v'Yava v'Yetz. So the idea is to clothe your. It's a little hard for my idea. Your nai within that or on that. So let's see. What does he mean? Shehu nirmaz gam came kan ba'av tevim, which is also a reference to the 72 words that you're going to be saying. Shabbat Parshat Tzitzis. So then he said, "Vehida kavon the zuchen is ba'arachu b'shilki tikun ayin sham." So I don't know. I didn't look over there. Let's see what he says over here. My question is that exactly what is the kavana? Is you're saying? Let's read it again. So let's read the like print. But Parsha Shlishis on that third parsha, V'yomer. Yeshnam of Tevos. Okay, no problem. V'im Tevos Hashem Elokeinu Emes. You have to throw that in, or excuse me, and to include that. V'yakavet b'kol Tevach b'shem echad ma'av shemas yotze b'shlosha pasukim v'yisa v'yava v'yeh. So he says, and what was it? Ma'av shemas yotze, and those 72 names. So he goes that this is in addition. V'yakaven the halvish as Yarkov, and the idea is you're taking your nai. He says Yarkov for Yisod Shalo, which is his nai. B'shem Ab, to cover it in the Shem Ab. As you're saying it, you're having that idea on Nizkar, which mentioned. Now, it's still not 100% clear to me how I'm supposed to understand that you're taking the words themselves and closing your own nai. What it said b'shem Av, the Haviz as Yarkov Yisod Shalo, in the Nai b'shem Av Kanizker, with this Av. So you're clothing yourself with these 72 names. But the Kaven She'ela Ramach Tevim. So now you have a total, including the Hashem Elokeinu Keter Emes. You have 248 words. So these, though, he says, are the 248 Ivarim, male Ivarim. Now, what does that mean? Or Ivarim of the male. So just going through it, now you're going to be saying 248 words here. The idea here is the Kriat Shemah B'Ramach Ivarim comes out into each one of them corresponds to one of the 248 limbs. But it's talking about you're actually clothing Zer Anpin. So this part of a little bit of my confusion is that he's saying that you're clothing yourself with these 72 names. Then he says that the tikkun that has a result of this is really make a tikkun in the male aspect. Okay, so there's a little bit to pick up here, but we'll go to number Yud Ches. So number Yud Chesed v'tekavin the Havram im Nook v'anikvas Mita. So Mita is related to the word Mata, but I guess it's Mita. Shehi HaMalchus, which is Malchus. So his Mita, the bed, is Malchus. Is the bottom, I guess the bottom, where you lay. So the idea is like this, is that you're going to join together the 248 Ivarim that went to Zer Anpin in a Nukvah with his Nukvah. The name of the Nukvah is also called Mita. tzarich l'kaveh l'saken es evarei hanok. So this is the idea here. Now you're having the idea to being a tikkun in the avarim of the Nook as well. Pasukim the l'holon, and we're going to get into that now in the next section. Just thinking that I didn't do this the last time. So let me see, where would I be here? Number Tes Zion. Where is Tes Zion? Tes Zion up above. Uva Parsha V'yomer Merkava Lanai. That's what he said. B'Shem ben Av. So this name, let me get it on the screen here. 1 second. So he says B'Shem ben Av the V'yisa V'yiva V'yed. So we're going to make combinations out of the different letters of those pasukim. La'el nisba'ara ofen echad. So there's one way that we already mentioned. Shall siruf osius, that have to do with the siruf. Shemos av. In other words, we make a combination of 72s there. Now, just thinking about it, you have to think about what does it mean that you're doing 72. 72 is, I guess, the highest level of permeation of the light, I guess. Shemos av hayotzim bepasukim elu shebo mekuvanach beparshas v'hoya im Shemah. This is what we did in Parshat Shemah. V'kan seder atzilus shona, but in the here, atziruf is different on the third parak. He said v'chaseder hu shalokim os achas bekol shloshas pasukim kesidrim. We take one letter from each of the three pasukim separately. Kesidrim in their order, and you match them up. Mecha osa rishon shal shlosha pasukim markivim es Shemah rishon. Umecha osa shniya shal shloshtam markivim es Shemah sheni. In other words, they're like that's where you start. You start in the first letter of the first pasuk. That's going to be combined with the first letter of the second pasuk and the third pasuk, and like that. Then the second one the same way. V'chein chala al derek zem. Kihu b'sidur el b'shash b'suri el Ashkenazim, and the skur of the Ashkenazim also. There we go. Because of Hashem and Sason she'ena yodea makor lezecha v'divrei rav. So he didn't really know where that came from. Okay, so I think we're up at the top of the page. So up at the top of the page, and which is actually number Yud Tes. Yud Tes says like this. He says, "V'lechein achar kach toimer pasukim elus," and after that you should say these pasukim. He named Mita Shlomo, and he starts mentioning them. Now we're into the Sephardi version. I was thinking I should really look more carefully at the Ashkenaz and the Nusach Sfard. But this is the Sephardi version. He named it also Shel Shlomo Kulam Achuzi Cherev. They say that Shlosha Pamim. So you say that whole section, that whole piece there, 3 times. Bekol Pam Yesh Bechem Esrim Tevim Uva Shlosha Pamim, and 3 times doing it, Yesh Bechem Shishim Tevim. There's going to be 60 words there. V'hu Sod HaShishim Givurim. That's what we say, the Shishim Givurim here. V'hu Sod HaShishim Givurim Atvan HaNizkarim Be'elech HaPesukim. So there's 60 Givurim that are mentioned there. V'hu Sod Vok the Nukva. What's these Givurim? The Nukva is Lashon Gevura. So he said, V'hu Sod Vok the Nukva. This is the concept of the lower 6 spheros of the Nukva. Called Echad, called a Me'eser, and each one of them is going to have 10 spheros within it. Hare Shishim, that's the idea that we're making a tikkun in the lower 6 spheros, which is the Chagat Nai, I think. I think it's what it is, but I get a little confused here. Shekula b'bechinas of Gevura, they're all aspects of Gevura. That's what the bechinas of the Nook. So when he says the Vok, you're talking about the Chagat Nai. But later on, he has a different kind of way of adding it up. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Okay, well, we'll see if we get to it today. Tehila Yomer Shnei Pesukim Hinei Mitazo. So it just goes through this again. Shavechem Esrim Tevos. So there's 20 words there. So we've seen this before, like in Kaddish, where you count words and you count letters. So here he said V'amram V'yomram Shlosha Pa'amim. So these 20, you say it, each one of them 3 times. 3 times 20 is 60. V'ravayatav Heim Shishim Tevos. Let's look over here a little bit. V'heim Keneged Shishas Spheres Chabad Chagat the Nook. Now he says that this really corresponds, not the way that I said it. I said it's the Chagat 9. He says this is really these 6. Now he used the word up above, the Vok the Nukva, which I understand is a Chagat 9. But here he says V'amram Shlosha Pa'amim V'yatov Heim Shishim Tevos V'heim Keneged Shishas Spheres Chabad Chagat the Nook. It's really filling in on the top part of the Nook. She'elu Heim Asfiras Achaserim Lo Ke'es, because what we're saying here is that that is what she's really missing at this time. She's missing her Chabad Chagat. Now we're going to explain that. When he said the word vok over there, it really got me confused because I'm thinking, like I said, on each one of them is going to have 10 spheres pratios, hare shishim, that's your 60. V'heim sod shishim giborim and niskarim b'pasukim elo. So this is the secret of the 60 giborim that are mentioned in these pasukim. Shekain ha-Nook, he b'bechinas gevura kanaida. So there, that's how you understand that these are the geburim. He's really saying that what you're doing, it sounds like that you're coming to fill in those that Chabad Chagat. Ba'alkein nikroim sfirosav shishim gevurim. So therefore, these spheros that you're coming to affect, this way I think I understand it, are 60. Let's see, was there something here? There's a little note down here at the bottom in the Shefa. The Shefa v'lechein acher kach tom pasukim elu, and then he goes through them. He named Mita. After kan mashbech the cake taketh acher shloshas haparshias the Kriat Shemah yeomer he named Mita. So I saw this. I was looking at this last night, and I saw that in fact he does that. So lahalon b'pasofa drush mivor the yapsek benehem, that actually between the pasukim and the rest of the Kriat Shemah Mita, there's a hapsaka benehem v'chamirid pasukim lo the chasidim b'kavod, is that will rejoice. The chasidim will rejoice in glory. So in his glory. I don't know exactly how that goes. So let's look over here now. Did we do number kaf? Okay, number kaf, we didn't do that one yet. So number kaf says, Gam tekavin ki roshe tebos, the roshe tebos of this phrase, Hinei mitaso shel Shlomo. So what do you get out of that? Is the name Mem He Shin. I don't know exactly what to do with that. V'hu shem echad ma'av shemos de v'yisa v'yiva v'yet. Now let's say Roshe Tevos Hinei mitaso shel Shlomo. It comes out to this name Mem He Shin. Shuhu Hashem Hachamishi the Shem Av. This is the first name of the 72 names. Hayotz b'pasuka v'yisa v'yiz v'yet. So he says Shemah b'tevos parsha v'choy im Shemah. So that's the one he's talking about, where you're switching around from the first letter to the last letter and going back and forth like that. He said Shemah b'tevos parsha v'choy im Shemah. So he says that's where that is. So that's where that is. Okay, let's move on. So there's a little bit more in here. Let's see how we're doing time-wise. Okay, so I don't know what we'll do exactly here. I think since I did a lot on the last time, that we may go with this a little bit more. So he says, V'da, you have to know this. This is number Kaf Aleph. Also reading up above. Let me read down below. So number Kaf Aleph says, one second. He says, V'da, Ki Mita zuhi behechul kodu gadash and debria. So this Mita that we're talking about, the Kriat Shemah ala Mita, he says, which he said before, really refers to what? Refers to the Nook. He says, Kadesh Kadashim debria, Kodesh Kadashim debria, Ki sham yeredis a malchus b'layla, because we know that that's where malchus goes at nighttime. So he says this phrase, Mitaso shel Shlomo, v'nizkeres b'pasuk zeh, Hakavanot the Heichel Kodesh Gadash of the Bria. That's the Kavanah. So where is it? The Mita. Where is the Mita that we're talking about here located? The Mita is like also a seat, like a kisei maybe, or it's a receptacle, which is the Nook. Shalusham Yeredis and Malchus. This is where Malchus goes. That Malchus Rachel B'Lailach and Kabavur B'Drush HaKodim. We talked about this. V'Sham Kasav Arav this. B'Stam Yeredis the Olam HaBriah. When we say that she goes down to Olam HaBriah, but Khan Mefarish, that's what he said previously, I guess. Goes into Bria. Khan Mefarish Yosef Shachar Yerida Shalom. He leheichel Kodesh Gadash in the Bria. V'Vorn his bar le'echel Drush Rishon. The Heichel Kodesh Gadashim, the Bria Nikra Mita. Apparently he said that previously. So he says it's called the Heichel, the actual Mita, place of the Mita, the place of rest, I'm not sure of lying down, is Olam HaBriah. The Heichel Kodesh Gadashim, the very top part of Olam HaBriah. V'Hakavanot saying that Adach Sha'achar Sh'nesaknon, Ramach Evared the Hakavanot the Chura, the Kriat Shemah. So making a statement here to me, he says that he's reading that after that you make the tikkun, I guess with the concentration of saying 248 words, it refers to 248 Ivara Dechura male parts, male limbs, the Kriat Shema. But now he started to talk about this before. We're really going to try to build up the Nukva, Kenisker Besod, Shishim Givorim, which is mentioned when we said that there are 60 Givorim, which really actually 6 of the Givuros that are missing in the Nukva. He said it's the Chabad Chagat. So like it says up above. It says the first thing, that's what we do. That is the effect of saying those three parts of your what's this word exactly? We're making a tikkun in the 248 limbs of Zeranpin, of the male aspect. Behind it as a shishim sefiris pratio shalo, and he's going to explain it in greater detail as we go on. He said, Shishim Giburim in his Karim Lao. This is the 60 powerful ones. So what I said, my word Giburim, I said the powerful ones. He said in his Karim Bakra. V'tikunim na'asa ayedera mamiras ha'pasukim and kan. So the tikunim comes as a result of the saying of these pasukim. You're making a tikun in these two, I guess, in these 6 spheros. So let me be a little bit more careful here about where we're going. And let's say a number Kaf Gimel. He said, so now, because of this, we're going to say 3 different types of pasukim. And each one of them has a count of 60. So the first part is in these 2 pasukim. He named me Taso, Niskar. So that's the first one. V'asheni acher kach yikrosh shlosha pasukim the birchas kohanim, and in the birchas kohanim there's also 60 letters. So he had words and letters. We've seen this how it works before. V'hem gam kain besod shishim gevurim aniskarim, and these are the 60 gevurim that we talked about before, which is 6 spheros times 10. So then you say that one has ad kan, so he has more to say that it's a 60 also. Ad kan ad ki ata Hashem machse. Vehem shishim tevim gam came, and there you see that there's also 60 words. So this number 60 is a big idea here, or number 6 times 10. So l'tzorach tikun Nook yesh l'kro ata shloshes sidro shel pasukim, 3 different arrangements of pasukim, sheyesh bechem shishim osios o shishim tevos. V'hem besod shishim gevurim. What's that? Haseda rishon hu mashin is boyer ata. So this is what we're going to explain now, what the first order is. Sheyikra shlosha pamim as pasuki hine mitasu shlomish shishim gevurim mesaviv law. Migivore Yisrael kulam b'chuzei cherev belong to milchama ish charber al yerecho b'pachad b'leilos shehem esrim tevos, which are 20 words. So now when you double them, shlosha pa'amim, in other words, you triple them, hari shishim tevos, you're going to come out there, that phrase that we just read is 20 words in it, and times 3, you're going to say it 3 times. It's going to give you all of that. Now what happens when you do that, when you do that is what we need to find out. Aseder Shani says the next one, hem shlosha pasukim v'berchos kahanim. Sheyesh bechem shishim osius, which has 60 letters. V'chaseder shlishi, and then the third order is hu perek yoshe b'seser elyon ad the phrase ki ata Hashem machsi. So there's 60 words there. So now we got 60 words, 60 letters, 60 words. Shehem shishim tevos, which is 60 under that part, is 60 words. Now that we're dealing at shlosha tikunim, there's 3 different tikunim. Lahashlim as kumas hanuk. One is to complete the height of the Nook, behi yosef b'bria, as she's in bria. Now she's in bria. We're going to make her a whole Nook. After thinking back into the Ochos Chaim, is that the spread in the Spheros is very short. I think we remember that in Olam HaBriah compared to Olam HaTzilus. But here he said, V'ha'echa l'hashlim es kumas hanuk b'hi yosef b'bria, which is still in bria. So he said, V'ha'sheni l'hashlim es kumasa b'chatzilus, and then the second set of 60s we're doing is to complete her height, b'chatzilus. B'shlishi, the third one, l'chaber as b'chinasa sheb'bria in b'chinasa sheb'chatzilus, is bring the 2 together. And this seems like it should be lots of detail in this. We call echad b'sidrach pasukim. So each one of the order of these pasukim in this garden, hu keneged tikun echad l'olon. So we're going to get into it more. Now, let me see, there was no shefa here, so the only first shefa that we would get here would be on number Yud Ches. Yud Ches said, let me get a drink here. Yud Ches said, V'chasheni acher kach yikro shlosha pasukim de birchos kohanim sheyesh bechem shishim osios. So he writes like this, and maybe, let's just go on. He said, B'kama Sidurim, so Rabbi Asher, rather, and the Kopel, Siddur Rishaz, I don't know, the Melody. I don't know, I'm not sure who that is right now. Sidra Lomer Basukin Yivarech Shlosha Pamim. Over there he said you to do Basukin of Yivarechas 3 times. V'yesh ta'ayim b'sechad ha'chalo b'divrech ha'rav mukach l'chera t'sagi l'omrech apam achas. You're just looking at the letters here, and it's enough to look at it just one time. Rak as Basuki hine mitaso, only there when you get to that, kasa l'omram Shlosha Pamim, that's the only time that we say it 3 times. B'kadei lahashlim shishim tevos. Okay, so it's a slide. That's like a little bit of a side note. So let's go on to the next piece. We still have a couple of minutes. Try to get into this just a little bit more. So these are practical Hakavanot that we need to do if you're really going to connect. He says, number Kaf Dal v'cha'inyan hu shebedahida b'ana b'saknim ha'malchus ba'olam HaBriah. This is the first thing we do. In the place that she's at. In other words, in Bria, we complete her in Bria. Kisham he nikbas mitashu shel Shlomo Kanitzka. That's where she's called, because we said the word Mita. I don't know what Shlomo means exactly here. Maybe he'll tell us somewhere. He says, Ki sham he nikbas mitashu shel Shlomo Kanitzka. So that's the Malchus, the aspect of Malchus, which you understand, the Keter the Malchus in Olam HaBriah. Atika Narishon hu the Sakin as Kumas a Malchus behi Yosef be'echon Kodesh Gadashim the Bria. He says she's still there. Kodesh Gadashim the Bria. Shlosha Shalasham Yarda Ata Malayla. That's where she's located. Vehi Yosef Sham he Nikras Mitasu Shalashlam Kanizkar. That's when she picks up that name. So we could do a little bit. We have a couple of minutes. Let's try to do number Yud test. Maybe I'll get through it. So let's see what we could do. I don't want to just get through it. I want to kind of digest it. Who is a the before Bekana is Chilo Tatachila Misaknim as the Nook. We make a tikkun in the Nook. Bebriya v'la'achar bekam Misaknim asach bechatzilus. Yesh bezecha b'shnei drachim b'mefurash v'farashim. So there's two different ways that we do this, and it's Shem and Sasa. We'll talk with that. Start with that. Bir shemisaknim as Rachel the Chatzilus, sheyarda the Bria b'layla. V'la'achar bekam misaknim ozecha k'she'ola l'tzilus. V'afta aliyasa na'ase rak la'achar mekan ba'alas ha'shachar. That when she actually makes it into a tzilus, it takes place. It takes that time, but you're getting the ball rolling here. V'afta aliyasa na'ase rak la'achar mekan ba'alas ha'shachar mekan malkam meguvanim ata es shem asid. Okay, so that's the idea. Is that the first time you're talking about bringing her out, completing her, and preparing her to go into Atzilus. And then actually going into Atzilus. So that would be the first two parts. Amna Masada, he says, Huva B'Shari Rachamim, Chelik Beis, etc. Bir Ba'ofen Achari says another way to look at it. So here we see this machlokas between the Shem and Sason and not the machlokas, but different perspectives. The Hidech of the Nook Yeshnam Arba Shrashim. Now the Nook has four different roots. Ve'echad mechem halo hula ba'olam HaBriah. So the one root, her root, is in Olam HaBriah. This is going to be explained in the sixth drush, the Rosh Hashanah. Oh, it is explained over there. V'shar Maimari Rashbi Rosh Hashanah. I don't know whether I'll get back and look at that or not. It seems interesting. He says explain it because I'm not sure exactly what he means by the different levels of the Nook. V'omer Khan shemisaktim as Rachel bebriya, ain't a Hakavanot the Rachel the Chatzilish Yarda the Bria. It's not talking about that. Ela Hakavanot shemisaktim as Shorish Nook sheba Olam HaBriah, but it's the root of the Nook. There's a root of the Nook in Bria. V'la'achar mekan misaktim as Shorish Nook sheba Chatzilus. Later on, we're going to see that we're going to make we're going to be a second tikkun. L'olam nevar as divrei harav lefi shnei b'drachim. Later on, we're going to explain this according to the two different directions. There are two different ways. He says, "V'yun od b'taras chacham also more." Of v'inyan tikkun zeh. So when we talk about this tikkun, shel chanuk the bria, that's v'chatzilus. So we have to really find out what that is. Okay, so that's really pretty much the end of that. There's lots more coming up, and we'll see that another time. Thank you for learning with me today.